ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 301 of the Drunk Dashers Podcast. I'm your host as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler. Man, I am exhausted after this fucking week. But, man, I've just been going through playing a bit of video games here and there. But overall, I'm doing alright. At least I survived another week and another paycheck, so...
Yeah, always good.
So how have you been?
About the same. You know, first full week back this week after last week being a short week because of Extra Life. So exhausting. Also long with Pokemon coming out this Friday. You know, I had mixed emotions about the Friday release date. On one hand, it's cool because you have, you know, it's like, oh, cool, get off work Friday. Got a weekend to play it. On the other hand, makes the week feel long.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till the end of the week. It's like you're already excited for Friday. It's already a long week. And then you got a big game coming out on Friday. It just makes it feel longer. But yeah, I'm better. At least it's not like old Nintendo where they release games on Sunday.
That's true.
Like fucking crazy assholes. But yeah, I'm the same. But playing a lot of games. So after beating Assassin's Creed, I've been trying to you know, play some shorter games. Not really get anything big. Just kind of go with flow. Don't want to give myself anything major, especially you know, with Pokemon coming out yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, doing okay though. Nothing too exciting new with me. But yeah, anything new exciting with you before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show?
Well, let's see. Currently, at the moment, I've kind of given a little bit of World of Warcraft a break for the time being. Because I tried playing a little bit this past week, but I only played like maybe not even close to an hour at the most before I decided, oh, you know what? I am going to do something else. But other than interesting stuff, gosh, had a crazy wild day where I actually found a freaking... what is it, like a rolling desk or something like that for cheap, like about $15. And yeah, the process of moving it was kind of interesting because I had some of the guys at my workplace load up the thing in the back of my vehicle, you know, and all of a sudden I get it home, right? I take out the drawers, and here I am carting a dolly down this grassy hill and stuff near my place and trying to go forth and move it. And by myself, I actually managed to move this big old rolling desk, and I got it like right across from where I'm recording right now. So it's interesting. Everything else looks pretty fantastic in the room at the moment. But other than that, though, yeah, that's pretty much what has been going on.
That's cool. Yeah, I went to multiple different stores today to find the Pokeball Plus for Let's Go Pikachu, and
yeah,
finally got it. Now I have two of them, so that's the thing. You know? I'm selling one to Justin though, so it's gonna go to you. Good
there
use.
you go.
Yeah, it's gonna go to a good home. But I guess since we're, you know, I mentioned a few times already, I guess we should jump into what we've been playing. Before, because we both been playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Yes.
Should we talk about? I mean, have you played anything else besides that?
Yeah, I actually have played a little bit of like other stuff.
Okay.
Let's see. For example, I still have been playing a little bit of Dragon Ball FighterZ while recording. For Thursday and Friday night, let's see, was kind of interesting. Thursday night, the first time playing the game in almost a week, I managed to go forth and do a little bit of practice rounds with some of my characters, and then when I went online, I was just meeting like tough opponent after tough opponent after tough opponent. I think I won maybe 2 matches or something in all for ranked mode last Thursday, and I basically felt like I was doing the best that I could at that point. But at the same time, I kept meeting up with players that would consistently go forth and do various combos, say with Trunks, to where they would bounce me off the wall and then all of a sudden get into like what it seemed like almost near infinite combo with stuff. And let's see, Friday night I fared a bit better, actually. As a matter of fact, I think I won most of my matches that I went ahead and played that night. And I was up against some pretty decent people too. So from the familiarity of what I was going with some of my characters I'm using, the difference starting off before Friday night is before recording, I went ahead and did a little bit of practicing and stuff, tried to get used to different types of combos other than what they show you inside the game. And I ended up trying and experimenting with a bunch of different type of things to try to make it more or less my style, my experimentation and stuff. And it actually ended up working quite well for the online ranked mode for last night. I was up against someone who was using characters like Vegeta and Goku, along with I believe it was Trunks or something, and they were pretty decent in terms of like not just comboing, but also the timing with the assists, so that I would be launched into the air for like different types of air juggles and stuff. But yeah, when it came up to that, I used a bunch of different combos in combination with Piccolo, to where I send him in the air with like a down heavy attack, and then all of a sudden it's like I do light medium, and then down on the directional pad heavy attack in order to launch them in the air with this high knee strike. Then I vanish behind them, hit them, have them bounce off into like a dragon rush and stuff. It's just stuff like that I ended up just experimenting with just to see what would happen. And the way you actually get better inside that game is if you just take some time, go a little bit of the actual training mode, barring like what combos and stuff. Because the thing with me is I'm trying to get used to the combos first, and then go through bits of training stuff, see if I can get the CPU at the highest level possible without feeling too overwhelmed, which in my case is like around 80, I think. So nothing too bad. But yeah, my combination of Piccolo, Android 16, and Hit actually managed to do pretty well for me, which I'm happy about that, you know. But as far as other games I have been playing, well, let's see. Yeah, it's been kind of like hit and miss since like Extra Life, because I haven't really found that one game that I've been wanting to go back and just try to finish. I tried streaming a little bit of playing some Heavy Rain. I think it was on Tuesday or something like that. And immediately, as soon as I powered it like booted up and stuff, and I played like the first couple chapters, everything just started coming back to me, and it's like, oh god, these children look ugly. Yeah. Oh god, these freaking balloons and stuff. It's like, all of a sudden, my enjoyment from the game turns into me just critiquing little bits of this freaking the way the cutscenes are panning out, and in terms of how, even though in that instance where Ethan Mars is freaking covering his child while diving in front of the freaking car, somehow the kid manages to die. Gosh, just stuff like that, you know, where it's like, it's just little things about like Heavy Rain in general that kind of like bug me, because it's supposed to be this kind of like a campy sort of like survival horror sort of like adventure game and stuff, where you choose your own choices in terms of who you think the origami killer is and this and that. But at the same time, there's a lot of quirks, there's a lot of inconsistencies in terms of plot points and characters. And yeah, it's kind of made me want to just to turn off the game after the first hour or something that I was playing it. Because bear in mind, I've played that game to death back in the day, to the point where I actually had the platinum for Heavy Rain. Which, you know what? I don't regret doing that, because I did have a chance to play that game inside and out. The repercussions of it, though, is the replayability after I did that has dropped significantly. And it wasn't until right this year where I had the craving, okay, I'm going to go forth and I'm going to download this game roughly around, I want to say, 6 or 7 years after getting the platinum for it, and see if I can actually enjoy the game playing through. And like I said, hit and miss. But yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've been playing at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I remember went back, because if you pre-order Detroit Become Human, you got a free copy of Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
And I was playing that before Detroit came out. And I remember I got past the Jason part, and I'm just like, I'm good.
Oh, I know.
And I only played it through the one time, but I mean, it was. I mean, I think it's a case of that. Everything kind of, like you said, everything kind of comes back to you, and now you're sitting there like you're no longer enjoying the ride and the story. Now you're just,
dude. Especially that opening cinematic, that opening like chapter or something, where I basically in order to earn that platinum trophy last time, I had to repeat that scene where I had to take one of the kids and just go forth and just hoist them up in the air and just go through like the whole opening sequence and stuff, like about 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, you have to set the plates down nicely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't go back to that game after playing Detroit because that game did a much better job with stuff. You no longer had to wash dishes and do stupid shit in that game.
Right.
But yeah, that's cool, man. I played one other game this week. I mentioned it last week. It came out last Friday, but I only played it for like an hour at that point. I wanted to wait. 11/11 Memories Retold. It is from the people that made Valiant Hearts: The Great War.
Okay.
So people, maybe, I don't know if you remember or not, or if you listen to the show. I mention it every so often, just because it was a really good game. It was a kind of a 2D side scroller with some more cartoony kind of anime style graphics.
Yeah.
Came out in 2014. But it was a really well told story, very sad story about 3 different people going to World War One, and but they did it like kind of it was tough and it was rough and it was just they got very serious with the game, but they did a very good job of like splicing in some comedy with some fun elements to it. And this game is same thing. It's in World War One. But this time you play as 2 different characters. You play as Harry and you play as Kurt. And the graphics, actually, before I get to the characters, is oil painting. I kept want to say water painting, but it's actually oil painting, which is a popular art style during that time in the early 1900s. And so, like I said, Harry and Kurt are the 2 main characters. Harry is a young kid from Canada who he's a photographer, doesn't have any real interest in like going to war, but there's a girl that he's really good friends with that he obviously he wants to be more than friends with, and he goes to war to impress her. And then there's another character, Kurt, who is German, and he goes to war because his son, he's older, I don't know his age, but I'm assuming 30s or 40s maybe. And he goes to war because his son goes missing, and he wants to find his son. And it does a really interesting job of like telling the story from both sides. Because I mean, they talk about World War One as like a war of like no one knew what they were fighting for. It was just kind of the pointless war, and neither one they didn't really have hatred for the other sides or anything like that. But it jumps back and forth between these 2 characters. And in it, like, so Harry goes, he goes to work with the Major Barrett, and he's a personal photographer for the Major. And throughout the game, it's very linear. There's not a lot. There's like notes you can find, like letters you can find, that kind of tell some side stories and kind of add some backstory to some of the things going on around, which I had in the Valiant Hearts as well. But the gist of the game is that there's some light puzzles, but it's some exploration, but it's leans more towards being a walking simulator than anything else. But the game is told through like narration between the 2 characters. When Kurt, who's German, when he narrates in English, but when the rest of his parts, it's actually, I think it's really well done. Where he talks to the characters, they talk in German, but there's subtitles, and so it's cool. And then like when Kurt is talking to those characters, he talks in German. So it does a really good job, I think, of kind of tying you into it, investing you into the characters. It's not like why is this guy speaking English? Why have all these Germans speaking English? Like you'll see in movies sometimes, but. Kind of, it's not a super long game. I want to say it took me about 5 hours. It's $30, so a little bit on the high side for how long the game is. But I ended up finishing it. I thought this much like in Valiant Hearts, a fantastic story and kind of hitting you hard and like just how miserable that war was, especially back in those days. War in general, but especially back in the early 1900s. Obviously, where we are medically is not, we're far off better than what we were. or we are now than when we were then, and just kind of what they had to deal with, and obviously the fact that these guys were going to war, people, millions of people were dying, and no one knew really why and what the benefit was. And they do so. Kind of what goes on with the story is, like they're narrating, the characters are, but they're kind of narrating in the style that they're talking to. Like Harry's narrating, talking to the girl he loves. Kurt is narrating to his, because he has a wife and a daughter as well. And you get notes from him, and like you can actually like kind of tell like Kurt. Well, you can pick the story you want to tell your daughter. You can tell a kind of a lighthearted style of it, a kind of in between style, or you can tell a very realistic style, to kind of help her. You can decide how she's taking it. You want to tell her the truth and how miserable it is. You want to kind of, hey, I found a cat, and there's, or hey, I'm really close to finding Max, our son, and with Harry, the way you tell, you let her, you can send her pictures back, and depending on the pictures you send her, will kind of define the way the letters you get back from her, and also her feelings for you. And they do some cool stuff where, like, at one point in the game, it's about an hour in, there's a battle that goes on, and like everything's running simultaneously between you. Like you'll jump back and forth in the middle of a chapter between these guys several times, and there's one point where you're in a battle, and you're actually in the same battle on opposite sides, and it jumps back and forth. Like he is like helping, like Kurt is helping the guy with the machine gun get ammo to keep firing, while Harry is trying to avoid those bullets. And it kind of leads to them both being stuck in kind of a cavern together, and them like basically becoming friends. Like I said, this is a war where it's pointless. Like these guys don't know why they're fighting. Why should they hate each other? And they get stuck in a cavern, and they become friends, and it kind of becomes the main story throughout the game, and about this friendship they're having. And there's a cat that befriends Kurt, and Kurt kind of follows around for the rest of the game. Harry gets a bird that kind of follows him around the rest of the game. But it's kind of interesting, just kind of the way they tell it. Like it's very grim. They tell some lighthearted stuff where you get to play as the bird and the cat a few times, and them trying to like talk to each other when they both speak different languages. But yeah, I just it's hard to talk about because it's obviously a story based game. Without doing, I don't really want to say much more than the fact that they're in a cavern together, because it definitely leads a lot of different places. And there's like 6 different endings to the game. So, and I was kind of looking up the different endings you can get, because I'm not going to go back and replay this, because I'm not a big fan of doing that. I like that's my story, and that's what I'm going to stick to. The only major issue I have with the game is I felt like, because there's decisions, like I said, there's decisions you make with the letters, but there's also decisions you make in the game that can affect the ending. But it feels like all of those decisions you make are in there's 3 chapters of this game, and it feels like most, if not all, of those decisions you make are in like the 3rd chapter. Like it feels like the rest of the game it's like on a, for the most part, 90% of it is on you're on a train track, and
right.
There's not a lot of options of like avoiding off of that. And then on the very end, you can just kind of go any direction you want to go. But yeah, I don't know. I really did enjoy this game quite a bit. It's not like, I don't know if it's gonna be as memorable as Valiant Hearts. I think because that game just kind of came out of nowhere, where I didn't know anything about that game, and then like it was at E3 was revealed, and a week later it was out. And I didn't know who these people were. I did not know what to expect going into it. The only reason I wanted to play Valiant Hearts because there was a dog, and I played it and I loved it. I loved it for obviously the dog helps, but for a lot of different reasons as well. And I've been talking about for years, like, what the hell are these guys doing? What's going on? It's been over 4 years since that game came out, and it definitely. I don't want to say it didn't live up to the hype, because I didn't know really what the hype was for it. Like, because I didn't know what the hell they're gonna do, because they're not. This isn't. It was Valiant Hearts is a Ubisoft game, and this is not a Ubisoft game.
Right.
So very much different. But I definitely really enjoyed it. I'm not. Yeah, like I said, I'm not disappointed whatsoever. Really well told. I can't wait to see what they do next. Because I don't know if World War One's gonna be the thing they do all the time. But they have found a really good niche, and I hope they kind of keep with it. But yeah, that's all I played other than Pokemon. So should we just jump right into it then with
Yes.
Pokemon? All right. So Gables, about how long have you played?
I have played for a little over an hour, roughly.
Okay. Um, I have played almost 9 hours.
What?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Whenever you plug the Pokeball Plus in, that's what it makes the Pokemon Center noise. I keep doing it. Yeah. So, I've been talking about it a lot since it was revealed around E3 about like, oh man, like we've been geeking out all year, like little leaks and like screenshots here and there about what can this game be, and then we saw, I'm like, oh fuck, it's Pokemon Go on the Switch. God damn it. Like this is not what like they made the game I've wanted since this is the game I've wanted since 1997, and this is what they do. They remake Pokemon Yellow. They finally put it on the consoles, and they go as Pokemon Go. And I'm talking about even all the way up to launch. I was texting Justin about it earlier this week about like, I gotta know, like, you know, I've been waiting 20 years for this game. I gotta play it. I can't not play it. I gotta know if I'm gonna enjoy this game. And I got the game. I even had it in my hand. I'm just like, I was getting more and more nervous playing it. Put it in, started playing it, and the music hit. And like everything came like hit me like a ton of bricks. Like my eyes started like welting up
Oh, God.
when we started up in that music, and you get the Pikachu, and I'm just like, all right. So at this point, 29-year-old cynical asshole Tyler is gone. Okay, this is 8-year-old Tyler waking up Christmas Day 1997, getting his Game Boy Color with Pokemon. Or no, I'm sorry, Game Boy. I just remember the original Game Boy at this point, but getting Red and Blue and playing this game and just falling in love. But yeah, I mean, this is you know, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow are the games that got me into gaming. And you know, I was sitting there, I got on, started playing it, and I was just hooked onto it. And
Yeah.
even like I said, like going back into that world I haven't been into in years. I replayed it. Actually, I replayed it a few years ago on the 3DS when they re-released it. But and I was just like, I was playing it, and I was like, oh man, I was spoiled by Pokemon X. Like I got pretty close. I got to the Victory Road to finishing it, but I'm like, Pokemon X is like, that was the last time it hit me. Was like, oh, Pokemon X was like jumping back in, because just listening to you and Jake talking about it a lot before it came out, like got me back into it a little bit. And I was just, the more and more I played this game, like it was just everything's coming back to me. It's just like reminding me of of my childhood, and like just going through it. It's in color now. I was telling my sister yesterday about it, because she's like what, like you're playing a Pokemon game, like yeah, but you don't understand, like this is like the game, like the game, you know. And I was telling her, like, this game came out in like 1997, and I was telling her I played on my original Game Boy, and she was like, oh yeah, the one that flips open. I'm like, no, Caitlin, this one didn't have color. It was like a greenish tint with some black lines. There was no backlight. And she's like, "We mean backlight." I'm like, imagine your iPhone. You turn the backlight all the way down, and you gotta tell you. See, she's like, "What? I don't understand that." I'm like, "You gotta sit." Like, my parents bought me a lamp for my room to play Game Boy games on, you know, and it was just crazy, like talking to her about it. And I was talking to my mom and dad about it. I'm like, "You remember this Christmas? Like me getting these games with the Game Boy?" And she's like, yeah, I remember that. Like, and it was fun, like talking to him about that. I remember they were like, and they actually remembered it. They were talking about those days of me playing it, and like every time I get to a new section and that music hits, I'm like, oh my god, it gets better. And it's like, this is the original OG 151. Like all of my problems with going into this game are like gone. Most of them, I should say, all of them. Like, but going through, you know, there's XP share there. The quality of life stuff they did is just great with the XP share. The fact that the Pokemon box is no longer like in the Pokemon Center. Like, you carry it with you, and you can swap out your 6 starters, or your 6 Pokemon, your party, at any point in time, is huge. I think that makes a big difference. And I got the Pokeball Plus today because I started playing it because I didn't get the bundle, and I regret not doing it because it would have been a lot cheaper for me to do that. But I was playing it. I was playing with the stupid Joy-Con thing, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel right. I'm not a big fan of this, and I was having issues with like throwing the Pokeball and getting them right. And I got the Pokeball Plus today. It definitely helps a lot. I recommend it. Like if you see it, it's hard to find. I went to multiple different stores today, and I had to go all the way. I had to go out of town to get this one. I didn't go out of town to get it. I was out of town, and I just so happened to look it up to see if it was at the nearby store, and it was. But like everything about this game, I'm just so totally in love with. And I mean, perfectly honest, this is nostalgia, 100%. Like I don't know if 29-year-old Tyler if he didn't play Pokemon would give a shit about this game at all. But I am just adore this game. I have my 5 of my 6 original starting characters back. I got Pikachu, Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Pidgey, and all. I got Sandshrew right now, or I got Sandslash now. But as soon as I find a Cubone, Sandslash is gone, and then I'll have my original 6 back. But it's just great because the entire time I'm playing this game, I have had a smile on my face. The entire time I'm playing this game, except for the parts where I accidentally where it randomly wants to throw the Pokeball to the right and miss the Pokemon. I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, like I said, I'm 9 hours in. I can't stop playing it. I got it like 6-7 o'clock last night, and I started playing it, and I look over, and it was almost 11 o'clock. I'm like,
whoa,
oh shit! I played this game for over 4 hours straight last night, and which I don't play. I say this every now and again. It takes a lot for me to get hooked onto a game. It only happens a handful of times a year for me to sit down and play a game and not stop playing it. And then I played it for another 3 or 4 hours this morning, and I played it for a little bit after the football game today. But yeah, like I said, I'm 9 hours in. I got the first 3 badges. I just beat Lieutenant Sarge. Did the SS Ann. I'm on my way to Vermilion City, Gables. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I had to go through. I went through the Diglett Cave.
Right. You had to go back, and now you have to go back to say Viridian City in order to get like something that you may need for up ahead.
Yes, I got that. And now I'm getting ready to go in the cave where you need the like the light or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I'm flying through this game pretty quickly, but I mean to jump into I guess real quick the throwing mechanics stuff. Like part of me, like I was telling Gables for the show, I have a lot of mixed emotions about it because it definitely makes it kind of quicker and easier to get through, like when you're just walking around through the world, because you're not wasting because you only get a set amount of attacks for each move, so you're not wasting those moves on wild Pokemon. You don't have to worry about not killing them. Like, I gotta weaken them, but I can't hit them with something too hard.
Right.
I gotta like it takes some. I guess it definitely makes it easier. Like I don't mind that too much, missing that. But I'm not the biggest fan of the Pokemon Go. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily love it either. It's kind of a wash for me, I guess, where it's not. It stands out definitely. It was definitely weird last night sitting around with I keep wanting to say nunchuck with the Joy-Con in my hand playing it. I'm like, oh man, I got my Pro Controller right here. Why can't I use that? But having the Pokeball Plus today is definitely it adds to it. Makes it a little better. Like it makes noises when you catch Pokemon and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, and also the fact that they changed the story up. The way, like for the most part, it's still the same, but they add little things here and there, like that your rivals no longer like. He's not Gary. He's not a douche this time. Pretty much, he's like actually like a friend. He helps you. You bump into other characters in this game that you wouldn't necessarily in the past. Yeah, the whole thing it's streamlined. I think in a really good way for someone like myself. That still has a lot of nostalgia for Pokemon, but doesn't. I'm not a hardcore Pokemon fan anymore. Like I went back for X. I dabble a little bit in Omega Ruby and Sun and Moon, but I haven't been a big fan for almost probably 16, 17 years. But Gables, you're that guy. You went through every Pokemon game just like 6 months ago. Like you went through and beat them all earlier this year. So I've been curious as I've been playing. Like I've been thinking a lot about like where you're at because I saw you were playing it earlier today, and I'm like
Right.
I want to know, like I know you've only played it for a little bit, but I would definitely want to hear kind of where you're at as kind of a more of a hardcore Pokemon fan.
Well, let's see. At this moment in time, I like a lot of the little changes that I've noticed so far, from the aspects of having the Pokemon box with you, as well as the name change, the name raider sort of like thing gone completely, so that you can actually change the nickname of your Pokemon anytime. I love those features. I also love the fact that even though in past games you would encounter certain wild Pokemon randomly, that in this game it's more or less you can see them walking on on like the terrain and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You see
Yep.
them like popping up, and like there's different types of there are even like different types of like say colors or something that pop up in terms of whether a Pokemon is big or if they're small, or in Tyler's case there's one that he's encountered where it's like there's something like shiny or something that's in the brush. But let's see, in terms of the whole gameplay stuff, I kind of miss the aspect of battling the Pokemon itself. I know inside, I think it was X and Y, and also for Sun and Moon, even if you battled a Pokemon and stuff, you would gain some XP, and even if you caught the Pokemon, you gain some XP as well.
Yep.
In this game, it's like you cannot battle, it seems like, the wild Pokemon, but in terms of, say, catching it, yeah, you're free to. And the thing about it is, what I've noticed is, if you catch some bits of the same Pokemon in a row, I mean, the experience points will go up a little bit higher. If you capture a Pokemon that's either have like a CP value that's very high or something, the more XP you're pretty much going to get. I like aspects like that so far. What I haven't liked, though, is the particular type of control styles that are presented to me. For one, I knew I wasn't going to get like the little Pokeball accessory from the get-go, because I just wanted to try to experience the game in sort of like how I feel like I wanted to do. Originally, I wanted to use the Pro Controller, but as soon as I powered on the game, I tried using it, and I could not gain access to it because there's only 4 different types of control styles for this game. The left Joy-Con, the right Joy-Con, the Pokeball accessory, and handheld mode. So I tried out the Joy-Con modes for playing the game on the big screen, and even though it felt weird at first just playing just with one Joy-Con, all the little button presses and this and that being in different places and stuff, it wasn't bad by any means, but it's a little cumbersome that you cannot, say, just have both Joy-Cons where you move with one and then select a lot of the different icons and stuff with the other one, like say you could with past Switch games. See, in terms of where I'm at currently, I am inside of Viridian Forest. Like I said before, I've only played the game for a little over an hour, but from what I've experienced so far, it definitely is more inviting. It's definitely feeling a more lax sort of atmosphere where you're not really worried too much about, say, battling and like, say, having your Pokemon be fainted or something like that, and going all the way up to the Pokemon Center, and just little bits of nuisances in between that could happen. Say, for example, if your Pokemon gets poisoned or something like that. In the old games, you had to go through and walk all the way to the Pokemon Center or use an antidote or whatever to kind of cure that status ailment. In this game, I haven't really encountered certain status ailments like that so far. But I like the aspect of the battling stuff. Okay, the battle stuff that I have encountered so far isn't exactly that bad at all. I mean, it's traditional Pokemon style where you select a move, use it against your opponent, this and that. I kind of like how they mixed up some bits of the story elements so far. So, for example, in the old games, when you're playing like first starting out and stuff, you initially would have to go into the garage in order to spark Professor Oak to actually get to talk to you, because he's not in the lab, he's not this and that and stuff. But in this game, it's like the moment you encounter Professor Oak, he has literally like talking with a group of Pidgey or something like that, a flock of Pidgey and stuff, and he turns over to you and then starts up that little scenario and stuff to where you first are introduced to your Pokemon. And what's interesting is like he doesn't give you a Pokemon. No, that you actually catch your own Pokemon, which kind of it actually is pretty surprising to me, since even for like a series like Pokemon, that never really has happened in terms of that styling. I kind of like the little changes like that in the story elements. But let's see. Other than that, I have caught plenty of Pokemon so far. My Pikachu, which I've given the nickname of Lucky, is pretty decent at this moment in time. He knows Double Kick. He knows like little bits of like Quick Attack and this and that. He doesn't really know any type of electric stuff yet, but that's sooner or later is going to be coming soon. But other than that, though, I have enjoyed what I have been playing. I just need to play a little bit more of it.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's. I'm still like a little over 24 hours later. Nostalgia has not worn off yet, so I'm curious at how long it's going to hold that for. If it holds up to the whole game or what have you. Yeah, I would say this though: if you're jumping into this game or you're a little bit into it, definitely go out. I've done a lot of like going on Google and like looking up the hints and tips about this game, like because there's a lot of things they don't tell you, like
exactly.
Like catching, if you catch the same Pokemon multiple times in a row, you get like a combo. You're in additional experience points for doing that. You get additional experience points if you catch them on your first throw. And the more, and actually, the more you get in a row of like, say, like at one point I caught 10 Pidgeys in a row. The more you do that, the more combos you get like that. That raises the chances you'll see rare Pokemon pop up. So at one point I had the combo going with the Pidgeys. Chansey popped up, and it was just so if you're someone that wants to try to catch more Pokemon, different types of Pokemon, that's the way to go. And they're also usually like that. They're a higher level when they're rare. But yeah, it's just been a blast. Like there's been multiple times I'm like, oh, Sandshrew, like vocally like, oh my god, there's Bulbasaur. Like I caught Bulbasaur in the Viridian Forest. He's one of the first Pokemon I caught. Yeah, you can catch all the starters in the wild, but they're fairly uncommon. Before you actually you get them in the game, like because you can just have them hand to you. Like I was able to catch Charmander and Bulbasaur. Squirtle, I ended up just having the Officer Jenny gave me it like you do in the old game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a blast, and I can't wait to go back and play it some more.
Nice.
But yeah, Gables, we have a fair amount of topics this week. Actually, let's stick with Pokemon for 1,000. Have you seen the trailer for Detective Pikachu?
Yes, I have.
What did you think?
Well, for a good example of it, it's been a kind of a good topic of conversation at my workplace too, because there are people who have seen it, some that are creeped out by it, some that are like, oh, this is actually pretty decent, you know? It's like, for me, I watched this trailer for Detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds. I thought, you know what? At the same point, I don't really know how to feel about it, because my mind is drifting towards like, oh my god, these Pokemon are like hyper realistic to the point where it's like kind of creepy in sort of the aspects, because you see like Pikachu's face is contoured or something like a human face and stuff. Then you see like aspects where you have one instance, like one scene of stuff where Jigglypuff's actually singing and some human dude is just fucking sleeping and shit. It's oh my gosh, just there's so many interesting things about that trailer. But let's see, I do like that. Yeah, definitely Ryan Reynolds seems like a good fit as Pikachu.
Yeah, no, it when it dropped, I'm just like, I watched it. And I remember I was at work and I saw it. I'm like on YouTube. I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta go in a back room somewhere real quick and watch this. So I ran off. I'm like, I need silence for this. And I was just like, I laughed multiple times, especially the stuff with the Mr. Mime. Jigglypuff, obviously with singing was great. Ryan Reynolds, basically being Deadpool as Pikachu was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember we talked about I think about a year and a half ago or so when this was announced, and I was just like, this is gonna suck. And then I played the game earlier this year, the 3DS game, and it was just like, it's a game, it came out, it's a thing. But yeah, watching that, I was just, I cannot wait. Like, we might actually get like a really good video game movie, a really good Pokemon movie. This movie looks just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you this, Tyler. I mean, already, like, say, this year we've gotten a great TV series that's been inspired by classic video games. Like, for example, Castlevania.
Oh yeah,
That season 2, yeah, I'll just say it right now. It's like, that was one of the best video game adaptations of, like, a best TV series inspired by a video game series that I've ever seen. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that this could actually be a well done video game movie from
yeah.
what I've been seeing from the
And
trailer.
yeah, and speaking of actually, the Castlevania series, Devil May Cry is actually getting a series for Netflix as well.
Ooh boy.
Yeah, so
Oh boy.
Shankar, I believe is how I say his name. He was the executive producer for the Castlevania seasons 1 and 2. He did a thing on Twitter, like on I think it was Thursday, and said check back at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We're gonna, like he said, we're gonna change the world or whatever. And
Oh my god.
came out, and it was they announced Devil May Cry is in the works for Netflix. He's gonna be the directing it as well. Again, he'll be the show lead. He says it'll be a multiverse and everything. So there's gonna be multiple things of it. And this is a quote from him about it. He states when he grabbed the Devil May Cry rights, he said, so that the jabronis in Hollywood don't fuck this one up too. Yeah. So.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched the Castlevania thing. I'm not a Castlevania fan, and I'm not a anime guy, but I've heard it's fantastic.
It is fantastic, but yeah, for one, it is hyper violent, and for another, if you don't have any type of like background inside of Castlevania in terms of the game stuff, some of the references and some of the characters may seem lost to you. But at the same point, if you're definitely a fan of like great animation, great type of storytelling, then this is definitely a series you may want to check out.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool to see that. It's a little disappointing because there was rumors. It's been rumored for a while that the next one he was going to do was a Zelda one. And then
that would have been awesome.
Earlier this week, there was rumors that there was going to be a Metal Gear Solid instead. Yeah, which when of those two, I'm like, give me one or the other. I don't care.
If it was a fucking Metal Gear Solid, man, I'd be all in on that shit.
Yeah, and it would have made sense. I think a lot of people went that way too, especially because Konami being Castlevania and Metal Gear would have made sense to do that one. But
get fucking David Hayter on that shit quick.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah. If he was in it, I would for sure watch that day one. But yeah, so we're gonna Devil May. Like I said, I'm not a big fan. I'm not Castlevania or Devil May Cry fan, but it's cool to see that we're getting more of that. It's expanding, and Castlevania season 3 is gonna be coming out next year. So.
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna get more. But moving on to some non-Nintendo or non-Pokemon and TV show stuff. Sony dropped a bombshell. Actually, it wasn't Sony. It was ESA, who runs E3, dropped a bombshell for Sony on Thursday afternoon, stating that Sony, for the first time in the history of E3, 24 years, will not be attending E3 2019. So came out, and it's kind of released. And then this is a statement from Sony itself that I'm going to read here. As an industry, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. The company told Game Informer in a statement, PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and can't wait to share our plans with you. Then Sony was asked from Game Informer if they were going to do like an off-site thing, like EA does with their EA Play, and they came out and said that we will not activate or hold a press conference around E3. So yeah. It's been over 48 hours now, and I am still like kind of dumb, like not like shocked by this. Like I like formulating an opinion. Is this good? Is this bad? I don't have like. I'm just thinking of everything. Like, do they like PSX was canceled earlier a couple months ago. They canceled it. So, Kind of Funny is now doing a Kind of Funny game showcase on the Saturday. They were going to have PSX. They're going to show a bunch of games, which I'm excited for. It's about 3 weeks away. Now they're canceling E3. You think about this past E3 was really weird, where it showed off their 4 main games, like, and then there was a Dreams and Resident Evil 2 trailer in there, and I think one other little thing, and that was it. It was a really weird. It was really good. I thought because what they focused on was all looked great, but it was just really weird the way it happened. Like, it's been so different than what they've been doing. Like, and especially when you think about E3, since like we've been talking about E3 since like our very first episode was E3 2013, where they announced the price point and everything for PS4. Like, since that point, they have like killed E3. They have been, you come out of it, except for maybe last year where Nintendo killed it with like Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon for the Switch, blah blah blah.
Yep.
You look at it, but I mean, they come away far and away the best. Or in last year's case, they were a close second. Just killing it. And the people that kind of innovated and changed the way E3 was done is now not going to be there. They're giving up their space at E3. So that's not something you can easily just get back. It's just all really weird. What do you think, Gables?
Well, let's see. At first thought, thinking about how much, say, other companies have benefited from not, say, doing like a traditional E3 press conference, For example, for a company like, say, Nintendo, it has helped them out to try to spread their message, but at the same time, this thing with Sony is something else entirely, from where they do not even want to announce anything like around that period of time, which in and of itself is a double-edged sword right there. For one, they control what they want to trickle out when they want to trickle it out, but at the same point, it just kind of is really confusing, and it is very confusing in terms of what direction that they're trying to lead here. I mean, it's more than likely obvious that they're going to announce something for their next PlayStation console. But in terms of what it potentially is going to be announced, like when, it's definitely not going to be, like, say, around the E3. Or if they're just doing this just to get everybody else off guard or something like that, I may understand it somewhat. But how I feel about this currently at the moment is that I think that this is the misstep that's going to end up leading to Microsoft potentially leading the next console generation. Because even though that they've been, like, industry analysts have been saying for years, like, how the big companies are not even going to go ahead and, like, attend E3 and stuff to try to spread their own messages to their own audience and stuff like that. Nintendo through the Nintendo Direct, like PlayStation, they had their PlayStation experience, but they all of a sudden canceled that this past year. And then Microsoft doing their own, like, sort of thing the past couple weeks ago. It still presents one thing, though. And E3, that presence, that free sort of like presence and stuff of that press conference, that whole convention of the Electronic Entertainment Expo and stuff, that's vital for a lot of different people, a lot of different developers, and a lot of different ways, like, to communicate sort of, like, to gain sort of momentum, sort of like a hype for your next new big things. Mm-hmm. Now, how Sony is going to do that going forward it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Because potentially this could be a situation where they could just drop like random like new games and like random like new console information or something like this just randomly out of the blue, like maybe a couple months before E3 or maybe even November of that year. All of a sudden we have like maybe November of next year, we're getting like the announcements of the PS5, and it's going to be releasing like say in a couple weeks after, and it's
Yeah.
like it has that sort of wild card presence. But at the same time, the reason why I think that Microsoft is going to take full advantage of this is because, for one, now it presents more of a larger scope and a larger space for other companies to go forth and advertise heavily what they're going to be going forward and doing. Because Microsoft at this point in time has gained little bits of momentum through here and there through their revitalization of stuff of sorts, of acquiring new developers for the next generation, plus the Game Pass stuff that's widely been successful, the backwards compatibility with all the different types of 360 and original Xbox games, and now this in and of itself is sort of playing into that sort of hand and stuff where now, because Microsoft is the only big, like a big console developer besides Nintendo, that gives them more of a focus and more of like oh gosh, I just wanted to say things without like just stuttering a little bit. It gives them more of a just presence, pretty much, in the eyes of like gamers and stuff, because now they're going to present it more of like a style of stuff of potentially like God bless it. I hate it when I think of words and stuff and all of a sudden it's like I forget what I'm going to say. But basically what I'm trying to say is they definitely have more time to present what they're going to be more focused on, which in and of itself next year is probably going to be content maybe for like things like Anthem, maybe for things like potentially the next Destiny, maybe, or even like a representation of some of their classic games or something. Who knows what will happen next E3. But the point being is Microsoft is going to gain some key momentum going forward because of Sony's lack of presence at that show. So that's pretty much what I'm thinking. But Tyler, what do you think?
No, you kind of hit it on the head there for me. Where there, yeah, I just keep thinking of all these possibilities. Like, I was like, wow, like they just do, like they cancel PSX. Do they have nothing to show? Like, do they just not want to show more of the same? Are they waiting for their own moment where they can show PS5? And then I wasn't even thinking about, like you said, like a lot of developers rely on, like the most watched conferences are are Xbox and PlayStation. Those are the big two.
That's the main thing that people go to watch.
Yeah, and now you have like Activision with Call of Duty, you got Red Dead Redemption 2, you got all of these developers that you give them stuff, or Destiny, you give them stuff first on theirs. They're not going to get those advertisements. Like, like the E3 is when they get the most attention, where video games get the most attention.
Exactly.
Smaller games or, AA games or indie games, they get a lot of attention at these events. And that's how a lot of them, like I was just saying earlier, like about Valiant Hearts, like that game was shown at E3. I'd never even heard of it. And then 2 weeks later, the game was out. And I never would have knew about that game. Or I probably wouldn't have. Child of Light, same thing. There's so many games that get shown off at these things that they could have gone. I could just went by them in the store, just saw the box art, and kept going. And so I think you're gonna upset a lot of third-party developers, big and small, that way. And you're right. You're like that's gonna push them more towards Microsoft. It's just. Like now, you're putting in some ways if you can argue it's you're kind of it's a layup for Microsoft now. In other ways, you're saying it's a lot harder for Microsoft now and Nintendo. Where like now you freed up more stuff for Microsoft. That's less competition for them, but you're looking at like Microsoft, mainly Microsoft, Nintendo to a certain extent as well, to pick up what PlayStation's leaving behind. So now when people leave, like if this comes out to be a lackluster E3, people are going to say, oh, we miss PlayStation. But if this comes out and this is another really good E3, people are going to say, we don't need PlayStation. Like, it was great without them.
Because all of a sudden, the whole aspect of, say, a 2 major video game company show has now been reduced down to 1. And if Microsoft were to hit it out of the park with game exclusives, with potentially like this whole discless Xbox One thing that's basically been rumored or something like that by Gamasutra and all this other stuff, along with potential like things of maybe an introduction of their competitor, their next competing console against the whole inevitable PS5 stuff. Yeah, this has potential to be absolutely vital for Microsoft here, and it seems like Sony potentially could have accidentally have given them the chance to excel in this situation.
Yeah. Like I feel like I really think what's going to happen this year is like Microsoft's going to come out and they're just going to go full bore with everything. They're going to show us everything they got.
Why not?
They're not going to hold anything back. And this is their chance, like, to take over. Like, I don't know if this is like an arrogance thing. Like we've talked about that this year, like, especially with like the whole Fortnite crossplay stuff, was a big thing. Like them canceling PSX, their weird E3 presentation. Like they just, I felt like I've been saying for years, like, and a lot of people have been saying this too, but I'm like, there's no way we can see the winner of this generation, the previous generation, going to the next one and just going cocky and arrogant and fuck it up. Like we can't see it again. Like we do with the 360, the Xbox One, PS2 to PS3, Super Nintendo to 64. We can't. We're not gonna see it again. It's not gonna happen. But it kind of feels like that's what's happening, and it's hard to say because they're not really telling us anything, which is part of it. Maybe they have some grand plan. I assume they have to have a grand plan, but it's got to hit too. They're putting more pressure on themselves also by doing this, where they could have come out next year and had a run-of-the-mill E3 presentation, and it still would have been really good. A lot of cool stuff out of it, and it would have been fine. We could have gone par for course around it. People are saying, "Oh, this is the death of E3," but I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Like E3 is still a big thing, and Andrea Renee, who's another podcaster from What's Good Game, she was listening to her podcast. She made a great point that people are saying for years, and we've talked about in the past too, about E3's dying, but she's argued now with social media and YouTube and everything like that, like E3 is more important than ever because
exactly. That's
more
the thing.
People, yeah, because it's no longer you have to go to IGN or GameSpot to go see these things. You no longer have to seek them out. Exactly. You can just scroll through on Facebook or Twitter, and this stuff's going to come to you.
Which is exactly why it's all the more questionable why Sony chose, after 24 years, to all of a sudden just step away from the E3 and sort of control their own sort of like thing, because what they're intentionally doing right here is they're ignoring the free press of other gamers and other industry analysts and stuff if they were to show what they have been doing for the past couple of years and just basically hitting it out of the park with all these different announcements and all these different game stuff. It's just very questionable, and it's also just a whole like maybe red flag here and there to where, well, they may have just went ahead, just stubbed themselves in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And I've heard people say, "Oh, well, they can still do like blog updates, like they announced Days Gone got delayed on a blog."
But it's not the same as a general E3 mindset, to where everybody is looking upon this massive informational influx that happens every June.
Yeah, and like I was saying just a little bit ago about back in the day before social media, you had to go there to seek the stuff out.
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing with the blogs and stuff. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of push for it. You might see it pop up on your Twitter feed and stuff like that, but that's usually because you follow a lot of people that are gamers. Like when you're just someone on Twitter or Facebook that's a casual, like that stuff's more than likely going to make it out to you.
Right.
And like the blog and their website and updates from them on Twitter or whatever is nowhere near the same. Even if they have their own event, it's still, I don't know if it'll be the same. I can see why they want to do it. It's like the directs. We get 8 to 10 a year. They get their own thing, own press thing. Like that could work. But like I said, they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves. So they better have a damn good plan. It almost makes you wonder, like, doing it this year, like, it could be something that's very simple. They just don't have the goods this year, which is still crazy to me that they cancel the whole thing outright, but I don't believe that part at all. Or I'd say it's the least likely of the scenarios we're looking at, but, like, could we see the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet next year now? Is this a 2019 thing now? I certainly hope not. I really do. Like, I'm perfectly fine with what we have now for a while, unless they come out and they just wow us with some crazy stuff that we just never thought of.
Well, here's the thing. As we're getting closer and closer to the end of the life cycles for both the PS4 and the Xbox One, that's just going to be it, you know? Come a year from now, we will definitely know what both consoles are capable of, and whether or not they're going to be released by this time next year, that all depends upon whether or not they want to go forth from the get-go with what these consoles will potentially do. At this moment in time, I do not have any type of clue what else you can improve upon in terms of a technical standpoint and in terms of, say, like connection stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. For those next consoles, man, it definitely has the possibility to be releasing as early as 2019, because every little bits of like the console iterations and stuff from the little half steps here and there, those come by pretty quick. So
yeah,
who knows?
it really feels like this is Microsoft's to lose at this point. Where we've talked about for the last couple of years, they've been killing it with, you know, they got the most powerful Xbox out there, the most powerful console out there, the Game Pass, the Xbox Gold stuff is games, free games we get are great. The backwards compatibility stuff, like they have been killing it on every which way. Like they are far and away the best at it than anybody. The one thing is they're lacking is the games. Now they just bought 12 new studios this year.
Yep.
Crackdown 3 is on its way. Gears 5 is on the way. The new Halo is on its way. And then whatever else they come up with in the next couple of years. So it definitely feels like, unless Sony has something absolutely incredible to show us, it's Microsoft's.
It feels like a rebirth of sorts of Microsoft, what it's going through. They're going through trying to please a lot of the longtime fans with some of the classic franchises that they've had. But the major problem before then is with the Xbox One, there was definitely very few exclusives that actually drove people to keep playing their console from extended period of time in comparison to, say, the PS4, with how rich the library is in terms of the first-party content. So what I mean by, say, a rebirth is with all these different like developers and companies that they've purchased, now is definitely going to be seeing sort of a revitalization of interest in sort of like what Microsoft is doing with their next console.
Yeah, and there's definitely still that fan base out there. I went out to eat today with 3 Xbox guys. Only one of them had the PS4, but they play primarily on Xbox, and they all bought Xboxes and went Xbox first for Halo. Like, so those people still exist, which is crazy to me. Like, I was talking to him. We were talking about the other guy that owns PS4. We were talking about Spider-Man. They had no clue there was a Spider-Man game that came out. They had no idea a new God of War game came out. They didn't know what Horizon Zero Dawn was. And these guys play more games probably than we do. But they just play the same 2 games, which is not a knock against them. But
it's not a knock against them, but it's just kind of crazy in this day and age. It's like they don't look at other games besides one console. You know, it's like they don't even know the whole aspect of these different types of games, and they just focus upon just one. You know, that's just preposterous to me that you can't even like open your mind to just different types of games that are potentially out there.
Yeah, you know, it was just funny because I was like, "Why do you play?" One of them asked me, like, "Why do you play PS4? Like, you were a 360 guy last generation." I'm like, "The games, man. The exclusives are there." And they're like, "Name me exclusives." I'm like, "Uncharted, Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man, Until Dawn." I was just going on and on, all these Ratchet and Clank, going on and on about all these, and they didn't hear, like, they heard of God of War, but they knew of the original trilogy God of War. That was the only thing they knew. They didn't even hear Uncharted. I was flabbergasted. I was like, really? Like, yeah, it's just great. It's crazy how that's still around to this day, and it's, you know, teach your own. In some ways, I kind of wish I was that kind of guy that could just buy Call of Duty and maybe like one other game in the new Madden game every year.
I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Fun.
I would be fucking depressed if I just played 2 games a year.
Yeah, but we have a lot more money. It's a very expensive hobby.
I know it is. I know it is.
We love
but,
it. I'm not saying I want to get rid of it at all, but my wallet sometimes is like, dude.
Yeah, I understand that fully.
Like, seriously, stop buying stuff, please. You're gonna burn the chip out of this credit card.
Burn the chip out of the credit card, and all of a sudden your wallet's crying.
Yeah. There's nothing left to give. Stop. But real quick here, let's move on to the last topic. This one just kind of dropped yesterday.
Okay.
A rumor came out that there's sounds like it's more likely going to be true. There will be a disc-less Xbox One in 2019. So
right.
Coming out, it's going to be this console. It's still technically be an Xbox One. It's not going to be the next generation. It's supposed to be rumored to release in the latter half. As early as next spring, and it'll sell for $200 at the very most, probably less. And it won't be an X, it'll be an S, so it'll be the white one. And they're actually a really cool thing that they're talking about doing for this. It's part of the rumor. Is what is it called? Disc to digital program, where you can go to the Microsoft store if you have one around you, and you can. There's no like details about how it would work, if it doesn't cost money or what, but you can give them a disc of a game, like a disc of Forza Horizon 4, and they'll give you a digital code in return for it. So that way, if you bought the new one, you bought this discless one, then you could still play your games if you don't own a digital copy for it. So I mean, I feel like, at this point in the generation, they've lost. Now they're kind of, and I feel like, really, whether they won or lost, this is something I think is interesting to try out. I feel like this is definitely like a trial thing. Like, let's throw it out there and see what happens. Like, it's Microsoft. They can burn some dollars here and there, and kind of see what happens. Like they tried out the doing the 2-year plan thing for 360s towards the end of the generation, last generation, where you paid X amount a month and for 2 years. So it's definitely, I think it's kind of like this is one of those throw shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of things. And obviously digital is building and becoming more and more every year. Like more and more people are going digital. I have gone mostly digital, I would say. Little, I don't know, like 50-60% digital on my games now. When it comes to buying like the big AAA stuff nowadays. And something you would ask me that 5 years ago, I would have vehemently said never would I buy a game digitally, and now here I am. So it's interesting. I kind of like this idea, and to see where it goes, especially if it's if it's the cheaper of the options. To see what happens. What about you, Gables?
Honestly, I'm not too surprised that discless Xbox is in the works, because the whole aspect of having a cheaper model and then having it be just useful and stuff like that for just digital content only is actually not that bad of an idea in terms of that aspect. And considering that they're trying this now at the end of the Xbox One's life cycle and stuff, kind of suggests that they're trying to kind of work the market to see how much of an interest would be for a discless console in general. So honestly, I think this is a pretty good move by Microsoft in terms of potentially having, have this whole disc to digital stuff. The idea actually sounds pretty interesting, to where if you have your old disc or something lying around and stuff, okay, less space. Let's go ahead and let's trade in this game and get the code and stuff and just go ahead and input it on my console, since storage is now not even that much of an issue anymore, because you can get external hard drives, you can update your current hard drive stuff. Hell, if you wanted to, you can get a 3 terabyte damn external hard drive, and you probably won't even have too much issue at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I love the idea that there is this type of option that exists for people. Whether or not if potentially I would use something like that still remains to be seen, but I'm not opposed to having digital games. Honestly, I have had my entire PSP collection that I had. Let's see, I end up getting rid of it, and I end up rebuying most of the games that are digital that I play on my Vita from time to time. So it's like, it's just that thought that has occurred to where maybe potentially I would like to go digital on more different types of things. I mean, I've experimented with the idea potentially for the PS4 as well, but at this moment in time and stuff, I'm not fully there yet. But honestly, I would like it if, say, Microsoft released a console like that.
Yeah. And it's definitely, you know, with the rumors that came out a few months ago with the Xbox Scarlet and next Xbox being there'd be two models at launch, one like the Xbox One X style souped up one, then there'd be the cheaper model for a couple $100 that's going to be streaming only, no digital and streaming only. This feels like it's definitely, I mean, it kind of feeds more into like makes me think more and more that these rumors are true. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a test to see how it works out, see how it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony maybe tries this too eventually. I think the only downside is it's not gonna make it by the holidays, because I think it could potentially be a big seller. It'd be the cheapest. They already have the cheapest console with the Xbox One S, that model out there on the market. Then possibly have an even cheaper model. With Game Pass, you can give them 3 months of Game Pass and gold for free with this, and you have an instant digital library right there. So it sounds smart to me doing this. But let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Gables are going a little long this week.
All right.
If you want to hear more from us, thank you for listening first off. But if you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Dashers Podcast. Like and join us on there. On iTunes, Drunk Dashers Podcast. Give us 5 stars. Leave us a comment, please. Really appreciate it. And also just click that subscribe button on YouTube at Drunk Nerds. Subscribe to us on there. Give us a big thumbs up. The podcast goes up in there as well. Leave a comment, please. More people that give us nice reviews, comments, likes, whatever. More is that more likely people will see us. And also on Twitter at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there, and also on twitch.tv Drunk Nerds Podcast. Follow us on there. Especially follow Gables at twitch.tv/Colonel Gables as well. He's trying to become a Twitch affiliate, so we'd really appreciate it if you did that. But until next time, guys, I've been your host, I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, have yourself a fun week. Definitely play yourself some fun games if you have some. And most importantly of all, thank you for enjoying another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast.
Hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Bye, guys.
See ya.